Hello and welcome to Rise of the Data Cloud. Today's episode features an interview with Dan Wright, President and COO of DataRobot. Dan has deep experience driving growth and operational excellence at disruptive technology companies like DataRobot, AppDynamics, LogDNA, People.ai, and more. In this interview, Dan talks about machine learning, neural networks, how to get value from AI systems, and much more. So please enjoy this interview between Dan Wright, President and COO of DataRobot, and your host, Steve Ham.
It's nice to meet you, Dan.
Great to meet you too, Steve.
Now, you're out in California, and the company is in Boston, and that's kind of an unusual setup. How do you plug into the company from such a distance?
You know, obviously everybody's remote right now, but we've been a pretty distributed company from the start. So we have a significant office in Tokyo, in Japan, significant presence in London and throughout the United States. And obviously the headquarters, since the time the company was founded in 2012, has been in Boston. But we also do have a significant presence in the Bay Area where I'm located. And over the course of the last year, acquired 3 different companies in the Bay Area. So we had a critical mass. I also have a personal connection to Boston. I lived there for 3 years before moving out to California, where I'm from originally. And then Jeremy and I hit it off immediately and kind of knew that we could work together, notwithstanding the distance. So it's been really good. And I come, to Boston when we can travel, and he comes here, and it works pretty well.
Now, you joined DataRobot as president and COO early in 2020. Previously, you were the COO at AppDynamics, both when it was an independent company and after it was acquired by Cisco. What's it like to get back into the startup world?
It's amazing. I have a real passion for company building and also for bringing new technologies that just have a ton of value to customers to market. And I love that at AppDynamics, and the opportunity to do it again now with DataRobot has been really energizing for me, exciting for me. And this technology that we have is truly unique and helps to unlock the power of AI, which is significant and will become more significant as we go. Yeah. So it's been, great. I joined the company in January, and I've loved every minute since I joined.
Yeah. Is this your first time as an executive of an AI company? Have you had to have a crash course in machine learning?
Yes and no. So even when I was at AppDynamics, both pre and post mergers, there was machine learning actually built into our product. So I was definitely familiar with how it works, and then also the power that it can bring to customers in terms of automating traditionally manual tasks and speeding up both the path to value and to resolving pain points in the enterprise. And I had familiarity. At the same time, DataRobot is a unique company. It's end-to-end enterprise AI. It's all we do. And so that is a different ballgame. So had a good foundation to build from, but have obviously learned a lot since joining back in January.
Now, DataRobot's value proposition is based on the idea of automated AI. What does it mean to automate AI? If you could walk us through how people use the platform, that might help.
So it's easiest to describe if you look at the history of AI. So before companies like DataRobot, all of this was done manually. So people would actually create the machine learning models, manually coding them, and then they would do all of the tagging and cleaning of the data sets so that they could then apply that to the model. And then they would kind of hand off to DevOps and get those models into production. And then every time the data changed, you had to manually update the model. And each of those steps could take months, if not longer, to complete. And so DataRobot, when the company started in 2012, was the pioneer of first automated machine learning. So rather than somebody having to manually create the models, DataRobot was able to automate that entire process and take it one step further by taking all of the different potential models, including the best of open source, DataRobot specific models, and others, and figuring out what is the best model for that specific data set, And it was able to do that within minutes versus weeks and with a much higher quality of model. You knew that what you were getting was the very best. And then what we've been able to do since that time has been to expand to automate the entire end-to-end journey that I was describing that was done manually before DataRobot existed. So all of the tagging and cleaning of the data, which again was highly manual before, we're now able to do automatically. We acquired a company, Pixata, last year and have integrated into the platform so that we can do that. Also, when it comes to deploying models in production, we have an ML Ops offering that allows customers to not only automate that process, but then once the models are in production, manage all of them and be alerted if there's any sort of data degradation or drift so that the models can be quickly updated based on the changes in data and then redeployed so that companies can get the value very, very quickly without any disruption. So we've really automated every step of that. And now what we're doing is actually, because we have the end-to-end platform, we're able to create applications on top, which we've now started shipping with our some of our recent releases. And what that allows you to do is, as a consumer of AI, get the value in a more streamlined, automated way, which is important because one of the biggest impediments to companies adopting AI in the past has been that it was a highly manual process. And as a result, it took a long time for companies to see value, and then you would lose momentum. So we think by speeding all of that up, it's only going to accelerate this AI revolution that we're seeing.
Focus in now on the data analyst or the business analyst. What's the experience that they have and the process they go through using your company's technology?
So one of the missions that we have and have had from the very start is around democratizing AI. So the idea is that you shouldn't need to be a PhD in data science to use this technology. And that's important because the supply of those types of people is much smaller than the demand for AI. And so it's imperative for just the state of technology and companies at an individual level to enable the rest of their people. Business analysts are very well positioned to be able to use this technology now with the automation that we put in place. We say that all you really need is some curiosity and then some motivation, and you can become successful. And what that looks like for a business analyst is you can literally automatically curate the data. We have an AI catalog where you can also select different data sets, and then you can literally just press a start button and you'll get your model popped out. And that continues throughout the entire chain from data to value. So it's very quick to get to the point where you can create a model in production that's getting value. And then for a business analyst, if you're somebody who's accustomed to working with a Tableau dashboard, now we're able to basically provide that same visibility, but use it with predicting what is going to happen in the future versus just reporting what has already happened in the past. And we think for business analysts, that has the potential to be a game changer and really allow them to add a lot more value to their companies.
Yeah. So basically, it sounds like one of the things you do is you take a whole process that normally, or in the past, it took a data scientist to do, and it might take months. Now a business analyst can do it and do it in a few minutes. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay. That sounds almost miraculous.
Well, we actually say it should and it does to our customers feel like magic. But the nice part about it is because we sell to many of the Fortune 500 and the Global 2000, it does feel like magic. But the nice thing is if they want, get a blueprint of everything that's going on sort of under the hood and understand in a fully auditable way what is actually happening. And then that's very powerful.
Yeah. So they can go back and audit it and look through the process and see, well, there was this whole automated thing that I didn't see into. I just got the results. But now I can check back and make sure that I understand the process and there's nothing that troubles me about it. I feel very confident that I'm getting the right data, the right analysis on it, and the right results.
Yeah, that's right. And that's important because what we've seen is at an executive level and business analysts, others, they understand that this is a massive sea change that is going on in technology. There's all sorts of stats out there. There's a recent IDC report that found that spending on AI systems is going to increase by 31% in 2020 from 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And PwC forecasts that it could contribute 15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So the value is very clearly there. But to unlock that value, especially for many of the largest banks, the largest healthcare institutions, and other heavily regulated entities, they need to know that what's going on under the hood is fully auditable and that they can actually trust their AI. And so we built that in from the very beginning, and I think is one thing that differentiates us out there in the market.
I think about C-suite people. I mean, I'm sure they're not your core user, but do CEOs, COOs, are they able to use the tool as well?
Yeah, they can absolutely use it. And we are seeing a lot of demand for that. So I would say because of how strategic this is for companies, where they realize that they're sitting on more data than they've ever had in the past, and that there's tremendous value in that data, but they need some way of automating the application of data science to that data in order to unlock the value, that there's tremendous demand. And now what we're able to do is show them the value that they're getting in a pretty unique way. So we have dashboards that show what are you actually getting in terms of ROI based on your different AI use cases. And that facilitates gaining a lot of momentum in these companies. Because again, once people see the value that they're getting, it becomes just very exciting. They want to do more. And then that speeds up adoption. And it also, for us, just allows us to have great conversations with our customers. Just earlier this week, I was talking to one of the most senior executives at one of the largest healthcare companies in the world. I also talked to another senior executive at one of the largest banks in the world. And we're having strategic conversations with them about, hey, they want to become an AI-driven enterprise, and they don't want to go after a single use case anymore. They want to go big and have this really be how they operate their companies going forward. And the visibility that we provide is a key part of that.
Earlier this year, DataRobot announced some major new capabilities for the platform. Let's explore a couple of those, which I find particularly intriguing. If you would, talk about automated deep learning.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic, and I think an exciting new addition to our platform. So first, I think when you think about deep learning, it's important to understand what is the difference between deep learning and machine learning. And it really comes down to how the data is presented. With machine learning, the algorithms pretty much always require structured data, while deep learning networks rely on layers of what we call artificial neural networks. And so it just enables much more rapid and natural insights. And so with this new platform, we're really unlocking some pretty exciting new applications of the technology that had never previously been possible. And we did that by, as we've kind of taken the approach in the past, leveraging the best of open source technology, but also applying kind of enterprise curation and the security that we built into the platform to really help customers. And so that's been really well received by our customers so far, and we're pretty excited about where that's going. And we've now got this new suite of deep learning approaches that are 100% ready to deploy in production. And we built them, again, from the ground up using this architecture that improves performance and accuracy. And we've managed to improve top model accuracy on 8% of data sets, for example, in our repository of internal benchmarks. So again, more automation, more accurate models, and that adds up to value for customers.
Yeah. I think it might be helpful if you differentiate between machine learning and deep learning. There's a significant difference, and I think not everybody understands it. So could you do that?
I think that the biggest thing to understand with the difference between deep learning and machine learning is machine learning has been around for a while. So I mentioned that even before DataRobot, pre-2012, there was machine learning. It was just done, manually. Deep learning is sort of an emerging field more recently than machine learning. And some of the barriers around it have been the same as machine learning. So having highly manual process in order to apply deep learning. But then also it's incredibly expensive and time consuming. I would say even more so than just other applications of machine learning. And now what we've been able to do is we've been able to make deep learning models easy and simple. Yeah. So we significantly boosted our deep learning capabilities. We powered this by a new Keras-based model framework from which DataRobot recently secured a provisional patent. And we've leveraged open source projects like TensorFlow and others and created a new suite of deep learning approaches that are 100% ready to deploy in production. Yeah. So I would say the biggest difference with deep learning is, again, it's sort of a newer emerging area. And in the past, I would say even more than machine learning, deep learning has been practiced by a very small subset of the population. And now we're enabling a larger part of the population to use deep learning by just simplifying and automating the process, which again is core to our mission at DataRobot. Yeah.
That's helpful. Now, visual AI, talk about your new capabilities there.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. And the headline that I would say for this one is it unlocks so many applications in so many industries for so many different use cases. And I'll give a few examples of it. First, what it is at the top level is we can literally take any image and provide the application of machine learning to that image. And how does that actually translate in practice? Well, retailers can use computer vision to improve customer experience, detect when a product is out of stock on store shelves, and even watch for suspicious activity to help with theft or loss prevention. Yeah. Manufacturers can use visual AI to identify product defects in real time. So rather than having to wait, a manufacturer ships a product and then they found out there's some defect and then you've got to do some massive recall, which can cost millions of dollars. You can be alerted to that before that release ever happens and avoid just an incredible amount of cost. We do that by monitoring all of the parts and components as they come off the production line and then feeding those images into the model to flag potential defects and avoid problems further downstream.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And I can give a couple more examples.
I think it would be great if you would, yeah.
One that might be particularly interesting, just given what's going on right now, and I found very interesting, is with healthcare. So healthcare providers can use image-based neural networks to automate the examination and diagnosis of health issues. So from MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, all of that had to be done by humans in the past using the human eye. We're now able to apply AI to that analysis, which results in it being much faster and with a much lower error rate. So you can understand, I think, at a really human level, the impact and the power of that technology.
I remember not too many years ago when the big new innovation here was to send the MRIs and the other images to India overnight and have people there examine them and send the results back. But now you can do it with AI probably in seconds rather than an overnight process.
That's right.
That is very, very cool. Now, there are a lot of AI companies out there, and it seems like there's a race going on among them to broaden their platforms and become one-stop shops for AI-based analytics. And you mentioned at the top that you've made several acquisitions there in the past months. How do you see things going? Is it going to be a lot of best of breed, or do you see that you think there are going to be a lot of kind of one-stop shops companies out there?
Yeah, it's a really big opportunity when you think about AI. I mentioned the PwC stat that 15.7 trillion is estimated to be contributed to the global economy by 2030. So when you have a market opportunity that's that big, and it's very clearly here, it's going to be a noisy market. And of course, this one is. What we see in the market is that there's a lot of companies that are either saying that they do AI, and really what they do is some very small kind of niche application of machine learning as part of their product. There's others that are AI companies, but they're really focusing on automating one piece of that journey from data to value. And so our vision from the very beginning has been to be the system of record, one single platform for enterprise AI at all steps, from the preparation and the tagging of the data all the way to getting models in production. And then we talked about applications, et cetera, and enabling these decisions that enterprises need to make based on their data in an automated way. And I think what we've done now is, through both organic development, and I'm always blown away with what our product team continues to release, some of the features that we just talked about, and now with visual AI and deep learning, those are great examples of that. But we've been able to push the state of the art and really establish ourselves as the end-to-end enterprise AI platform and the leader in the industry. And I feel really good about where we are in the market. We were a first mover. We were the first to do that. I always credit Jeremy's foresight. He was one of the top data scientists in the world. He was running data science at Travelers Insurance, so he had a unique vantage point to see this trend coming. He moved quickly, and then the company has been very aggressive. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars to creating this technology and bringing it to market. And now what we think we have is an opportunity now to really accelerate, because we have every piece of that end-to-end platform, and that is really differentiated. And now we're in the position where we can go into what we call modelless AI, which is with these applications and enabling decision-making for consumers of AI very rapidly. And there's a very big market for that out there.
Yeah.